So, hello everybody. Welcome to the newest session of the Yocto live coding stream on Twitch. My name is Joseph. You might know me as Lito II on several social media channels, primarily IRC and GitHub. We will probably both be using really soon. Today I'm going to show off a couple of topics concerning layers, images, adding new recipes, simple recipes for today. We might in a later run do something more complicated. You do not have to bring along really in-depth embedded Linux knowledge, but this time we will assume that you know about the ins and outs of the Yocto Quick Start. So if you have not gone through this manual or watched the last streaming session, it might be useful to do so before trying to replicate what we are covering today. So you might notice my voice or the slightly fashionable color of my nose, which indicates which indicate that I've got a slight cold. So I will be drinking tea this time. And so I think it's time for me to jump to, you did not see the color of my nose, so I'm going to show it off again. And to prove I really have tea, you know? And I also arranged with the pup that I'm sitting across the window, so my face is bright and shiny and everything that you could ever wish for. So let's jump straight in. I prepared a really simple build this time, and it actually is only a really little more than the quick start. And the only things I really modified is I'm cross building. I'm not building for QEMU x86 this time. I'm building for QEMU ARM to show off that when adding a recipe and the sources that we're going to use are properly equipped with a build system, that Yocto or Bitbag and Open Embedded, to be more precise, carefully handle all the nitty-gritty details that are needed to properly cross-compile. So that's why we're going for QEMU ARM, and I'm using package IPG because I just like IPG more than I do like RPM. But that's about it. I'm gonna show you the current state. We're just using no graphics, no graphic. That's it, because I'm running in a remote SSH environment, and well, just so you see, this is the image I prepared for today's session. And here's my login, UNMA, latest, Yocto standard, whatever, all the whole shebang. It's a small image. You can see it's size 6.7 megabytes. Okay, this was core image minimal. For something that we learned last time, the chat on Twitch is not available for users that are not logged in. So if you want to chat with us, with the folks that are actually behind the Yocto project, and you do not want to create a Twitch account or do not want to log in for whatever reason, there is also the #Yocto channel on Freenode, and I also created a direct link to the web interface of it down in the texts of the Twitch channel page. So if you want to chat with us without Twitch being involved, just click on it, pick a username, and you're free to go. I think Richard and Nicholas at least are monitoring both channels simultaneously, so we will do our very, very best you are taken care of in the most efficient and of course friendly way. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We wanna add a recipe, and we wanna add a custom image. So that we can properly do this, we need a layer of our own, because we do not want to inject this into Pocky for reasons of pulling things from upstream, and we do not want to put everything into local.conf for reasons of reproducibility. This is an awful word, really. So we're going to use bitbake layers and see what's going on there. And it tells us bitbake layers create layer is a cool thing. We're going to inspect the help there too. And it tells us, okay, this is the layer directory to create. Let's just check that out. I'm going to create a directory called meta life. Meta life sounds cool, does it? Okay, and bake layers, create layer, meta life. Directory exists. Okay. Not to my future self. And here it is. Hopefully, we're gonna look into it. Meta life looks like any layer you would probably know. Contains conf directory, and with a layer.conf and the recipes example and example bb is, well, yeah, not too convincing, but it's a recipe, and we love recipes. They do funny things, and they do things that we love. So the next thing we really have to do, and not forget, a lot of people do actually forget this, is we need to add this new layer to our build. So we get back to a build, and we open the bitbake layers.conf file, and with our most trusted editor, where we add the layer. So I'm gonna check into the channels just for a second if anything is going on. Nothing so far, everything's quiet. So I take it that you're all listening and happy what I'm telling you. And I just go on. Okay, here's the thing. Now bitbake is aware of this layer and all the things that are contained in it, namely the example recipe. So we should be able to bitbake it, build it, kick it off. Of course, it now needs a little bit longer for reparsing. And you see, bitbake now finds example, does a lot of things, those that are not of real value for an image that we want to build, but we can check into the work directory, and if we look at example, and it must be temp to log compile, do build. Hopefully it's do build. It's not do build. I actually would have expected to see the message now, but I do not. Anyways, it's not that important. What really is important, that we now put everything that we want to do into this very layer that we just created. And for this, we look at the structure once more. We see the recipes example. And the canonical place for image recipes is beneath recipes dash whatever slash images. So we're gonna go into recipes example. We're gonna create a layer images, and onto images we just for now copy over from Pocky, hopefully Pocky, not Pocky, um, Pocky meta recipes core images, and here are our standard small images. We're going to use the core image minimal dev as a blueprint because this is already a very simple image that basis of core image minimal and adds some things, which is what we basically want to do. We want to add other things, but the general concept is the same. So we copy this over and we call it example image.bb. Okay, and we open it up and we see what's going on. Yeah, image features this time is not what we want. We do not want the dev packages, we just want to add something. So uh, my classic for adding to an image is BC, because we engineers do love calculators, right? So we add a small image, just containing a calculator. I think that sounds cool. I think we need to patch one more small thing, but we're gonna test it in real life. So this time we do want to build example image, and I hope for kaboom. Yes, there it is. This is what I wanted to show you, because in the original directory this file was sitting right next to an existing image recipe, which had the name core image minimal. Obviously, if you look at this here, it's not there. So what we need to do in order to be able and include this image again, we need to add the full path inside the layer that we got it from. And if you look at here, it is a recipes core image images. Yay. And we add this in here. And hopefully we're good to go now. While this runs off, I gotta check into the channels. Everything is really quiet. Yes, I really know that I messed up the date um, given yesterday and today. This is all my fault. Please do not blame the folks from the Yocto project that did the announcements, or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. It was all my bad. It was off by one error when I looked into the calendar. I'm going to stream every second Tuesday in a month at 5 p.m. Europe Berlin time. So I already modified the dates to make this clear. But if you were around yesterday and were super disappointed that you could not see me here, it's all my bad. My apologies. And you can also blame me on the chat. You can blame me on IRC again if you tuned in late. I added a direct link to the hash Yocto channel on IRC on a free node directly in the text below. So you can click it, pick a username, and chat with me directly without signing up for Twitch, which is obviously not what many people do want to do. Okay, so it says warning, but lots of cool things. So if we want to check our image right now, I think we need to do qemu arm and probably example image. No graphic. I'm so sure I'm getting this wrong right now. I do not get it wrong. Is it really booting? I'm I'm on bad terms with runqemu, really. So if it works right now, this is a world premiere. First time ever that I got an invocation that is not trivial, right? Gotta log in, and let's see. Did not change that much, but oh, there is BC. Great. So I got it right. Surprise, surprise. I am the one who's really the most surprised person around. So now we got our own image. What I think let's look at it at the image another time. You can see that I used image install. Image install is basically the canonical way to add packages, not recipes. That's an important distinction. To add packages into an image. I'm using the plus equals operator because I'm used to it. I could have also written image install append, which means that this recipe appends something to image install, which has a really small drawback. It needs this space here because append is basically literal. It appends whatever is its variable meaning onto the name of the variable, whereas image install now whereas plus equals actually inserts a space in front of its own setting. It's probably there for historic reasons, for completeness, for I don't know. If you run across it, both are valid. So another thing we could do is image features. These are like pre-set up groups of settings and packages that can be installed into an image. And if I got it right, I want to use open as no, I want to as SSH server drop bear. And you see that this time I'm not just installing the dropbear package, I'm installing the image feature. Image features are available for dev packages, for installing a whole tool chain, for OpenSSH and for dropbear and for a handful more. If you are interested, look it up in the dev manual or in the reference manual you can find on Yocto Project homepage. And let's see if I really get it right. Oh, we're gonna shut down the QEMU again. Checking into the chat. The chat is still super quiet. Oh, the only comment I actually got is that I distracted Bruce from doing important kernel work. which is actually quite funny. I think if Bruce is watching me explaining things that he knows at midnight in his sleep, then I must be entertaining, hopefully, or something along the lines. Okay, so actually, I added something to image features, so I need to rebuild the feature, the image again. Hopefully, this triggers now drop pair. It does. You can see drop pair is being fetched. The package group is being triggered. I'll have a cookie in the meantime. You see that this time I did not prepare the estate cache and the download cache for Dropbear. So this really is doing real work now. It is getting the sources of Dropbear. It's running off to configure and build them. And hopefully finish soon. This was really a slow download. Oh yeah. Let's see what's going on. rootfs is being packaged again. Seems like my uplink is a little bit slow or cramped by the actual stream running. Happens that. So here it is, our new image. We started the same way as we did before, and if we then look at the startup and the running processes, we should be seeing that Dropbear is around waiting for us to connect, which we're not going to do because of network and demonstration woes and whatever. But you see Dropbear is in the image, it's generating its key. It's around, I can log in, and if I look at top, I see that Dropbear is here, and it's happily waiting for us. Okay, so what did we do until now? We created a layer, we created an image that derives from something that's already around. Usually this is the common way for you. You start off with either core image x11, you start off with core image command line full, you start off with core image minimal or whatever. Writing stuff completely from scratch is doable, but even those who work with Yocto on a daily basis or with Open Embedded on a daily basis usually start with a blueprint that's already around. So now we're gonna come to the single most important, most tedious, most annoying, and yet most rewarding task that any open embedded based development has to offer: writing recipes. Because writing recipes is what actually enables you to put your software, your application, your whole thing that you want to give to the world into an image. Basically, it's a packaging process. And for this, there's an excellent section on writing a recipe in the dev manual, which is, I think, like 80 pages long and goes into great detail. So if you ever want to dig into how this really works, go read it. I did not. I usually copy over something or just hack it together, copy pastaing, or when I started, this was not around. Now we do have Devtool. Devtool is a great thing that allows us to do many common tasks in open embedded development, and the font is a little bit super big, so you can properly read it in the stream. So I have to scroll up a little bit, but if I just kick it off with no parameters and no command, it gives me the help. And what we want to do is we want to add a new recipe. Sounds good. And what do we want to add? Probably something that does show us that adding the recipe works. So, for reasons completely unknown, nobody knows how this could even be, I actually prepared something that we could use for this. Feel free to look up this uh, this URL. If you so wish, I will keep it online for future reference. And I do devtool add and this link. And when it runs off, it tries to clone this, inspect it, and check what's going on. And then it tells me recipe here. Recipe, this is Git has been automatically created. Now, what does this tell us in a nutshell? It tells us that underneath build, there is a workspace directory which holds transient data recipes that are in the works. This tells us that it actually created a recipe where it derived the name from the repository it pointed it to, and it tells us Git. This is not a fixed revision repository like so many are usually. This is one that basically pulls a specific Git revision. So if I'm not completely mistaken, I should also be able to inspect this right now. Okay, and here it is. You can see what happened inside this recipe. It said license MIT, which is correct if you look up the repository on GitHub. It automatically sets the corresponding license checksum. It sets the source URI with the protocol. And here is one of the first really important lines. It selects a specific source revision of the Git repository. So you do not build of head directly, because this introduces severe non-reproducibility. If you do not know which specific revision you build, and somebody pushes something to the repository, and you do not notice, you build your image yesterday, it works. You build your image tomorrow, it breaks. Why is that? You did not change anything in the recipe. So do not use tricks and measures to circumvent specific revisions unless you are super sure that you actually need it. I know everybody is always sure because everybody is a special snowflake, and so am I. So if you really want to do this, the one thing you have to add here is basically autoref, I think. Look it up in the dev manual. I'm not gonna do this right now because I do not want to. This is like the things you do not show in public. Everybody knows they can be done, they are around, but I don't want to have it on the final video. Okay, next thing, source is vector git. This is just like pointing the source to the Git download. And now we come to the really interesting part. Inherit CMake. This means that Devtool automatically recognize the sources as being CMake enabled, and accordingly inherited the CMake class, which then takes care of all the funny things like do configure setup, do build setup, do install packaging. All is there. If you looked up the sources, you can see that this is actually right. We do have CMake in there. We can also pass additional data to CMake if we want to using extra OE CMake, but we do not need this because this is a really tame source repository. It does not have any additional dependencies. It does not do any funny things, and it should cleanly compile right now. If I do bitbake, this is. Okay. Okay, and we did run our build. We can inspect what happened. Temp work, and here is this is with all the things that we would expect it to have. User bin, this is indeed. Let's just give it a small test by this is, and that tells us this is one of the things why I wanted to use QEMU-ARM. It tells us ELF 32-bit LSB ARM EAB5 version. So bitbake did everything right and properly cross-compiled for our beloved target. Now, this is one thing that many people also get confused over. I did build this is because I manually told bitbake to build it. This does not mean it goes into any image or whatsoever. I did build it, I could inspect it, it's there, everything is cool, but it's not in the image. So we gotta add this is to the image this time. And we're gonna rebuild our image. While this runs off again, I'm gonna inspect the chats where somebody wonders that that we are not building a game. Okay, I'm surprised. This is the game of my life. Hence, as we have already completed what I really wanted to show, layer creation, image deriving, and creating our first recipe, it's time for the obligatory beer. I totally know that Crofton is watching, so here it is. I do feed my own cliches, and for whoever who's watching and not having a beer and is envious, well, order your own. I'm at the pub. Again, if you want to chat with us in a non-Twitch logged in way, head over to #Yocto on freenode.org. There's a direct link to it in the texts beneath the Yocto streaming channel. Okay, it did build again, and one more. Oops, this is not what I want to do. This recipe is cool for say for 2 or 3 things I want to show you. Okay. Command completion is hard. I know it. So run QEMU. And now that I actually built the image and I added this is, I can use it in there when I'm booted. Probably this now recreates new SSH keys. Yeah. Reminder to my future self. Remove drop bear again. So this is there, and surprise, surprise, this is. Okay, this is nerd humor, but actually it borrows a small trick from BusyBox. If I use a bin, this is, and I'll link it here as Fantastic Foobar. Here is my symbolic link to Fantastic Foobar. And if I kick off Fantastic Foobar, hey, yeah, this is Fantastic Foobar. So this actually does nothing more than just take the first thing in the arguments, a string array, and print it out. I needed something to show you, and I didn't want to write hello world, so I wrote hello this is. Okay, we're almost done. But so this goes out to those of you who do not like, despise, use whatever CMake. I know that such people do live and work and actually write software. This is the rumor. Joke aside, if you looked at the source repository, you can see that it's not only CMake lists there. There's also a Meson build, and there's also the Autotools infrastructure. So this is actually includes 3 build systems, and I picked those 3 intentionally, of course, because all of them are neatly supported in Open Embedded. And this is what we're gonna do. We gonna switch over to Autotools. Inherit Autotools. Hooray! And if we bitbake the example image again, bitbake now detects that the image and that the recipe of this is has changed, so it needs to do the rebuild. You can see it did a new do configure, do compile, do install, and everything, and it passes again. So what to take away from this? If possible in any way, try to use a build system that's non-obscure, that's homebrewn, that's non-handwritten. Use something that somebody else on this planet uses and cares for, like Autotools, CMake, Meson. Those are the big boys at the moment. There's also things like Sconce or WAF. There's a handful of package managers for Python, Rust, Node.js. Um, whatever you do, try to stick to the convention, because whenever you break the convention, you have to do funny dances in your recipes to make sure things work again. You will, and if you're cross-compiling, you are almost certainly breaking things, and just don't do it. It's maybe not as much fun to learn the syntax of Autotools or CMake, but it really pays off quickly if you're doing embedded or cross-compilation development. So just for completeness of it all, we're gonna switch to Meson. And We bitbake example image again. And again, this is happily configured, packaged, compiled, built, and example image is recreated. So far so good. This is what I prepared to show you today. I know that we did have less viewers or chatters than usual, which is due to my off by one error and mess up. So thank you everybody who actually found us and joined us. I will totally make sure that this does not happen again in no way whatsoever. So, any questions, remarks, funny things? Yes, Mark, I saw the um, the remark. I'll look into it. I actually thought that software means that we're a software incorporation, which is not exactly wrong. We're not incorporated, I think, but we're doing software. So, cheers. Hopefully, more people will join us in in the next session, which takes place on the um, second Tuesday in June, which in turn, let me just check, should be June 11th. Yes. And yeah, I'll hang around for like 1 or 2 minutes. I'm gonna kick off the example again, just to show you that Dropper is not around anymore, hopefully. Mm. And again, I messed it up. It's booting again, and you can see the SSH key is not recreated anymore. Image feature removal worked. So this is probably the last thing I actually wanted to show you. We are of course taking and being very grateful for ideas, topic suggestions that we can or should cover in future sessions. Maybe we can also do it more often, as I read, but we need somebody other replacing me in doing this, because this is about the time I can offer. So if there are no more remarks, I'm gonna switch to the thank you. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. And no more questions. Then goodbye and see you next month, at least me. Bye.